We ask members of the First Presidency to please arise. It is proposed that the First Presidency sustain Russell Marion Nelson as prophet, seer, and revelator, and President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Those of the First Presidency in favor, please manifest it.
I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied by Joseph Smith. But it will not be saved in Washington.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. This is going to be a long and an emotional video for me. It has been a long latter days. January 5th, 1831. Section 39. Joseph Smith, for some reason, put in verse 21 right before he put in verse 23. Come on, Joseph. Are you telling me it's prophecy and you didn't actually know? I gave you more credit than this, Joseph. He says, he's quoting from Matthew, or the redactor in Matthew, who added this in. For the time is at hand, the day or the hour, the time of, well, let's go back to, okay. 19. Wherefore, go forth crying with a loud voice, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Crying, Hosanna, blessed be the name of the Most High God. Sun God at noonday. Go forth, baptizing with water, preparing the way before my face for the time of my coming. For the time is at hand. The day or the hour, Joseph Smith no man knoweth, but it surely shall come. And he that receiveth these things receiveth me, and they shall be gathered unto me in time and in eternity. And again, it shall come to pass that on as many as ye shall baptize with water, ye shall lay your hands, and they shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost, and shall be looking forth for the signs. He just gave it away to you. Joseph, of my coming, and shall know me. You know, granted, but Senior, he knew. Behold, I come quickly, even so, amen. When Mormons get baptized into the church, they're commanded. They've now got the Holy Ghost. They're going to get revelation and inspiration for the signs of the coming. And signs, I got to give credit to Jasmine, who's again gone missing. And so she's likely to miss this video too, when she has a big part in this. Because she was asking about Christmas trees in Jeremiah 10. And there was signs. And I looked up the Paleo-Hebrew. It's the day and the hour. And it's the same day and hour in Genesis, chapter 1, the creation. But not the same as sign in Isaiah. That's a different one. And so, I'll go over Revelation 12 for you. In the Joseph Smith translation, Joseph Smith or at least senior, knows, because they move verse 5 to verse 3. This is the first year of the latter days. We know this because it's right there at the beginning of the Book of Mormon. Lehi's second vision, which is an exact same parallel to Joseph Smith's 1838, 7 years later, second vision. He knew by then. I guess he didn't know in 1831. It was senior who knew and moved it up. So Joseph didn't know and understand. But by 1838, he knows. Interesting. And so, the first verse. And there appeared a great sign in heaven. We are told we're going to be looking for the signs of the latter days. Here's the first year. And it's referred to as a birth sign. The last year of the latter days is associated with a death sign. In the likeness of things on the earth. Prophecy, predicting the future, things on earth. Revelation, time, day and hour, signs in the heaven. They give a date, a specific day and hour. Solar eclipses, anyway. It's not a solar eclipse, it's just a day. And every day is different because the planets and the sun and the moon go through the constellations completely brand new. Technically every minute it's completely different. But from Earth we have to see a distinctive difference because we're so far away. So, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as they claim to be prophets, seers, and revelators, and Nelson claims to be the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, holding all the keys, nonetheless, they deny the power thereof. Not me, them. The LDS Church and its leaders do not make predictions of the actual date of the second coming. They deny the power of being a prophet, of being a seer, of being a revelator. And they don't even claim translator. And so, wouldn't you know it, the keys for the president are the wrong keys. Because the church says Peter, James, and John. Joseph Smith says no. Section 107, verse 91. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. It's Moses's keys. Now, if you don't understand why Moses, isn't that the Jewish Christ? Yeah, yes it is. That's why the Book of Mormon, right at the beginning, says learning of the Jews. Yeah, these prophets are blatantly confessing their frauds. But Mormons don't study. Mormons aren't looking for the signs of the second coming. And thus, as the Christ of the church, in the learning of the Jews, the president is a seer, a revelator, a prophet, and a translator. Why isn't that footnoted, Bruce R. McConkie? It's Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian, by the way. Only he and Hiram were prophets, seers, and revelators. Only Joseph was the president and a translator. Hiram was patriarch. Nobody else. And so, when Joseph Smith and Hiram died, so went the gifts and the keys of the president of the church. Like I said, the prophets only have titles. They have no gifts, which means they're frauds, and they do not have authority because they claim to be Christian. They claim Jesus is our Christ. That's the great and abominable church that Joseph Smith repeatedly talked about and is in the Book of Mormon. And so, yes, this has been very emotional for me. And so, I've been going over all of this with you all these years. Trying to help you learn, trying to help you understand. And, do I want to do this one first? No. I learned about the ancients in which they believe that solar eclipses signify collapse of a kingdom and or death of a king. And because of this traditional belief, there were stories in which kings forcibly caused the fulfillment on earth, the prophecies to be fulfilled, not understanding that they were about the latter days. And so knowing this, and growing up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Covenant, with Mormon Covenant parents, both serve missions, I recognized the church being religion and not government. So when James E. Faust died in 2007, I thought, that's interesting. And sure enough, there was a lunar eclipse in close proximity to his death. And there's accompanying signs in the heavens as well on the actual day. And so when that happened, I went, oh, that's interesting. So the lunar, with this first test, seems to coincide with the death of a prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I, thought it was cool. Didn't have much to work with. Didn't have my Urim and Thummim yet. Didn't have access to Google search. Google had warned me that they're going to trash their whole system coming up very soon because they're going to use a new AI program. Oh dear God, it's going to be a nightmare. I mean, they can't get it right now, and they're already planning on replacing things in the future. Dear God. So, yeah, we're going to lose access to the internet soon. Dear God. And so then, soon thereafter, Hinckley dies. And sure enough, lunar eclipse. And there was more that I was not aware of yet. Wouldn't find out until after Monson died that I went and ran that test. And so yes, two near each other, dying, and there in proximity are lunar eclipses. Signs in the heavens in the likeness of things on the earth. I knew that the left eye of the Egyptian Christ is representative of the moon for religion. The right eye, the sun for government. The eyes of Horus. Or Sun Amun. And so, since I'm here in this file, I had run the test on Bruce Armour Conkey to see if others were involved. And not all the prophets are, just certain select ones are. Bruce Armour Conkey is one of those select ones. 19th of April, 1985. And so on 4th of May, 1985, a lunar eclipse. Interesting. But wait, there's more. He gets a solar, too. 19 May, 1985. 1 month to the day after. Fascinating. And so, after the death of Hinckley, I saw that Shurtleff had been trying to fix the laws in Utah and had succeeded to further financially punish me for what the church had done. And I filed a state lawsuit against the church to protect myself. And unfortunately, they decided that they were offended. How dare you sue the church? No one dares to molest or make us afraid. And so I, despite following my First Amendment right to petition the government for a redress of grievances, I, however, was instead arrested as a terrorist threat. 3 counts. Go figure. And so they used that as cause to seal the case and disappear me for what ended up being 6 years of my life. And as I've done the videos over the years, and even again recently, while I was being tortured, I had a dream in which President Hinckley and Marjorie had bumped into me as I was about to go into an event at the Ricks College basketball court where they held devotionals. They've plowed it over and rebuilt another one, I guess. It's no longer Ricks, it's gone. They destroyed it. But I had 2 tickets. I'm all alone. Hinckley and his wife don't have tickets. They're all dressed up, ready to attend. I don't think I was. And Gordon asked me if he can have my tickets so that they can attend. I said, sure, here you go. And he turned around and gave me the key card to his office. And so, this was the death threat, remember? Dare I find out about this? Until this grand council is held at Adam-on-Diamond, Satan shall hold rule in the nations of the earth, which includes the United States of America. But at that time, thrones are to be cast down. You listening, Nelson? And man's rule shall come to an end. Then shall he give the government to the saints of the Most High. Satan. Satan shall hold rule in the nations of the earth. Then, at Adam-on-Diamond, he shall give the government to the saints of the Most High. And by voice of the priesthood, this council in the valley of Adam-on-Diamond is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer, who is at the head of the great and abominable Christian church. To the rightful king. He says Jesus. Is it Jesus or is it Emmanuel? So that's the thing here. He's lying to you and revealing the secret plot to overthrow the United States and the world government so that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can run supreme, rule supreme across the whole world. As everybody descends into chaos and kills each other off and the church remains. However, what was occurring in that vision was the spiritual fulfillment of what would hopefully be still, is still to come, the physical fulfillment. Hinckley gave me the key of his office. Now, granted, Brigham Young was not authorized, and so there's not really much there other than the key of Peter, James, and John. Because the church doesn't have power to seal. I get those later. Just like Joseph did in visions. Remember? Remove all the Christian stuff. Throw it away. Burn it. It's all wrong. You got to think in the mind of a Jew, who were the authors of all these prophecies in the language of the Egyptians, the origin of all religion. And so, after that, I got all the revelation to design, build, and run Zion. And I was pissed because I knew that they were locking me up for life. I would never see the light of day again. I am gone. However, that was not to be the case. 2014, with the retirements of 3 key people, the new people oopsied and let me go. And so I'm free, sort of. They still tried to control me. But I'm back for other people to know I'm still around. And I remember attending an event at the Tabernacle, and someone across at the upper balcony saw me and said, "Hey, where have you been?" So yeah, that was weird. Nobody really cared to know what happened, but they knew it happened, and I had disappeared. And so, in 2014, I don't have access to the internet. I only heard it from the TV there in the building, the apartment that I was in. There was like a little day room place that people were watching TV on. And I heard about a lunar eclipse coming. I went, oh, that's interesting. I'm newly freed. I already have 2 for 2 with lunar eclipses and deaths for prophets. So I'm thinking, oh, somebody's going to die. Let's run the test, find out. And it came and went. No death. Oh, okay. So there's an anomaly here, and I need to do some more research that I don't have the ability to do to find out why the anomaly didn't happen, or why it didn't happen, why it's an anomaly. And then as the months went by, I again hear from the news. As this time I have a computer, but I'm having to learn it by myself. Google search is brand new for me, and so I'm not really sure what is available, because I had AOL dial-up disc way back in the day. And so I'm still thinking in those kinds of terms of my abilities and availabilities online. And so it would take time for me to make discoveries and such. But I find out that there's another lunar eclipse coming. And I went, oh, okay, cool. So 2. Let's run the test, see if this will explain the anomaly. And I came and I went. Nothing. No deaths. And I then have a dream in which I move. And it was a dual prophecy dream, for which I would move again in the future. And here I am, to the video last year when I moved. Yep. In both situations, I made sure to move on the particular day in the dream. And thus fulfilled it. That was weird. And so soon thereafter, my birthday, we're coming up on General Conference, and that Saturday, I'm hearing now, I don't know why they didn't tell me in the beginning, that there's a 3rd lunar eclipse. And not only is it a 3rd lunar eclipse, it's part of a tetrad. And not only is it part of a tetrad, these lunar eclipses are on Jewish holy days of Passover and Sukkot. Tabernacles, Feast of Ingathering, Passover, Ingathering, the Exodus of the man like Moses. And I'm just throwing up my hands going, holy crap, why didn't anybody let me know about this? And just not explaining things. And so, yep, running the test again. We're looking for 3. And we know the deadline by the 4th lunar eclipse. Has to be within the time frame. And so, sure enough, 5th May 2015, L. Tom Perry bites the big one. July 3rd, 2015, President of the 12, Boyd K. Becker, bites the big one. Nelson now becomes the President of the Quorum of the 12. And that's Scott. He was pushing it to the limit, right there at the borderline, 6 days before it would be too late. On 9/22/2015. Does that sound familiar, Mormons? That date? September 22nd? Do you remember the 21st night, September? In the Jewish calendar at 6 p.m., it becomes the 22nd. Yep. Richard G. Scott bites the big one. I would then go on to learn that Scott died on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And there were indeed sun shall be darkened in between. But only the solar eclipse on the 20th of March, 3 days after my birthday, would be the 1st of Nisan of the Jewish calendar. 9/13/2015 solar eclipse was in the year 5776. Was that the new year? Let's see if we can check. Let's hope that they're not forbidding the Jewish calendar. That disk isn't done. And 2015. The new year is, wow, yep, sure enough. Jewish New Year. As the 20th of March was on the 1st of Nisan, which is the other New Year, right? Yeah. There's a civil calendar and a religious calendar. The civil calendar was, or the religious calendar was first in 20th of March, and then the civil calendar on 9/13. So 3 days after my birthday. And then September 13th. Did I mention? Yes, I did. Passover, suck it. Passover, suck it. So there's Jews involved in this. Jewish learning, Jewish religion, Jewish calendar. This made the tetrad even rarer, as there was a guy that was popular publishing books on it, but he didn't understand the bigger picture. But he did understand that there's been a limited number of tetrads since the time of Jesus, and even fewer that were associated with the Jewish holy days. And so, that was cool. I then got remarried on October 1st. Anybody remember what happened on October 1st? Yeah. We had our wedding supper feast at the Lion House, right next to the Beehive House. We were sealed in room number 17 of the Salt Lake Temple. There's their signs in the heavens when Perry Packer Scott bit the big one. Sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven. Scott had stars falling from Aquarius, which is the high priest symbol, and the judgment symbol, right there at the scales of judgment. And there's also Scorpions. Packer, he also had one at the high priest symbol, Aquarius, as well as the tail of Serpens the dragon, and also on the shield. And then Scott, yeah, he had one there in Aries, as well as in Pisces. And then there's also another one, Leo, the sextants. So yeah, I had knowing about all the symbolism of the constellations and their ancient meanings and interpretations. I'm able to see how the scriptures were written. And there's Hales. But we don't want Hales quite yet, do we? No. Okay. And so I am living a life with a wife, and it only lasts for 2 years, because on the 6th of November, 4th of November, 2016, I learn that there's going to be a total solar eclipse over the whole United States of America. I know exactly what that means. I didn't know the full extent of it until I got the ancient Egyptian religious calendar for that year and found out it was the ancient Egyptian religious calendar New Year. It's also Thomas S. Monson's birthday. And if you've ever been aware of the Egyptian Christ, Horus, when he begins the latter days to take back the throne of his father, who was murdered by his uncle Set, he loses his right eye right at the start. The ancient Egyptians knew, and we're talking many millennia BCE, beyond 4,000. And so the Book of Mormon would also kick in. But before that, there was a lunar eclipse, partial, over Utah, Elko, Nevada, as there was a massive flood. So isn't it interesting? Revelation chapter 12. Verse 15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. I had a person pretending to be my friend, whose wife, brand new wife, had gotten the church to allow me to attend the Elko Family Discovery Day convention out there in Elko, Nevada, with them. And I was able to have a booth to have book signing. And I don't fully understand, they were just doing a charity case thing for me. I got pushed all the way to the back, and I never did sign anything. And and then I was told that I had to conform and comply to a topic that I had no clue of, and I had to figure out how to obtain money to pay for it with my wife, but it ended up working out. And so, partial solar eclipse, Revelation 12, and wouldn't you know it, on that same weekend, the speaker in Salt Lake City was none other than Russell Marion Nelson. And so we go to verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, the church, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. All around Salt Lake City were flooding. I was in the flooding. We had problems getting people to attend because they were having to do sandbagging. So that also added to the problem. But nonetheless, there it is. Revelation chapter 12. As I've shown you the pictures of me at that event, and I have on my laptop my Urim and Thummim on the day of verse 1, 2, and 5, which the Joseph Smith translation moves to verse 3. But I didn't know verse 5 yet. And so yeah, I had found it. Because I knew that we had started the latter days with the 21st of August 2017, I knew that I now had a time frame reference to go looking for other stuff. So yeah, just a month away, and I found it. And so I wanted to share it. And everybody was upset. You're not a prophet. You're not a seer. You're not a revelator. You're not a translator. Deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. What do you expect? And so, yeah, I would go on to find out that the 3 solar eclipses are over the United States of America. The 3 days and hours of darkness. The time of the latter days. And the coming of the Messiah on the 23rd of September 2017. And so the one on the 21st of August 2017 went over Adam-on-Diamond in Independence, Missouri. This should catch Mormons' attention, I would think. Guess not. And so the second one, 14th of October 2023, Book of Mormon says that Mormons are going to lose interest and not believe in signs anymore. They're not going to be looking for the signs. They're bored. And so, yeah, I went over Utah. And then the one we just had went over Kirtland, Ohio. And Manchester, New York. And very few of you would know and understand what Batavia, New York means. Or Canandaigua, New York. But those two. And so, knowing all things of the ancient world, and thus Scripture, I knew the significance of where the signs took place in the constellation that they did. And so, the first one occurs at the star Regulus in the constellation of Leo the Lion. The second one at the womb, being born with an eclipse, which is more of an abortion or a miscarriage. Although it is a new moon, but angels standing in the sun. But that's for Revelation 19. But in the woman, the church. And it's over Utah. And so the one we just had, Revelation 19. There's the white horse. And the sun god is on the back of the white horse. And an angel stands in the sun. Verses 11 and 17. Right there. We just had it. Didn't you see it? And so the death, as a death sign, is because of the Aries constellation. And I'd known about this because I'm the one who figured it out. Because I'm the only one on earth who knows about this stuff. I wanted to know. Nobody else knew, so I had to do all the work. So Abraham sacrificing Isaac at the top of the mountains in Utah. They go up and they're talking about where's a lamb for the sacrifice. Trust in the Lord. Ties him up. Oh, I'm the lamb? hold still, son. Goes to stab him, and then a messenger appears. Mercury. And well done, thou good and faithful servant. Here's a ram. Ta-da! The lamb is Isaac. That's Jupiter, who was born on the 23rd of September 2017 in Revelation chapter 12. John's keeping it consistent here. At least the author is. There was no actual John. Writing of the Jews, remember? Get rid of all Christianity from your mind. And so Jupiter is the lamb. The wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Temple of Zion. And so, yeah, Nelson was supposed to have his big old conference of the temple being finished and having a big dedication and Jesus appearing to the Mormons live. And then Jesus gets coronated and he goes to his palace with his throne that also isn't finished either. And then the next day he goes and destroys everybody, murders everybody, takes the keys of government from everybody, and rules and reigns for a millennial reign of peace. Oops, he didn't show. But the Lamb showed. He's been here the whole time, Mormons. Doctrine and Covenants, section 39. Verse 23. We're supposed to be looking for him. So yeah, the latter days are over. That's it. That's all. And it went over Kirtland, Ohio, and Manchester. Again, I told you that. So yeah, X marks the spot. New Jerusalem. And yes, Paleo-Hebrew. First and the last. Aleph and Tau, which I don't use phonetics, it's picture language. And so yes, it's an exact picture match. The Aleph, A, is the sign made of the crossroads of the sun god. That's his name too, by the way. He who is from the crossroads of the sun god. First and last name. The Jews knew it, Joseph. And so yes, those two letters are the word for signs. The Aleph, or Alpha, A, is a prefix determinative. It's the whole 3 days of darkness. And so the two T's at the main word are for the two crossings with the last day of darkness. Those who created the script created it with prophecy and revelation. Thus the vocabulary is prophecy and revelation. Thus the prophecies and revelations are written with vocabulary words of prophecy and revelations of the Paleo-Hebrew script, which is prophecy and revelation. So when Joseph Smith reads from the Book of Mormon about Nephi, talking in 2 Nephi chapter 25 verse 1, he's saying, I have been writing to you in the manner of the Jews, which is prophecy. And then Mormon 8 verse 33, the Book of Mormon is a book of revelation. So yes, 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 8 through 10 is from Revelation chapter 12, 1, 2, and 5. 23rd September 2017. Revelation. Do I need to remind you again? The prophets of the church do not make predictions or dates of the latter days. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and other adherents in the Latter-day Saint movement believe that there will be a second coming of Jesus Christ to the earth sometime in the future. The LDS Church and its leaders do not make predictions of the actual date of the second coming. They do not believe in the power of prophecy, of visions, of revelations, and translation. Mormons are not supposed to follow these guys. They're frauds. They claim titles and deny the power thereof. So Mormons are supposed to look for their actual Christ. Joseph Smith tells us, Book of Mormon tells us, everything tells us. The Jews have a concept of a Christ called Messiah ben Joseph, who's supposed to prepare the way for the coming of Messiah ben David, who is Emmanuel. Messiah ben Joseph is supposed to set things up, set the religious order up, get the temple going and running in preparation for Messiah ben David. And it is prophesied by the Jews that Messiah ben Joseph will be battling with the enemy, the adversary, and will be assassinated, murdered by the enemy. Sounds just like Joseph Smith Jr. to me. Sure enough, 2 Nephi chapter 3 is all about Messiah ben Joseph, which we all know is Joseph Smith Jr., son of Joseph Smith Sr., because Joseph of Egypt. Messiah ben, son of Joseph of Egypt. Messiah ben David also comes from Joseph, not just David. Comes from both. And that's who the Book of Mormon is talking about, not the Messiah, which is Messiah ben David. But Joseph Smith is to set things up for the coming of Messiah ben David, to be manifested unto Mormons, not to Christians, not even to the Jews, not Islam, nobody else, Mormons. He's going to be a Mormon through Hiram Smith, branch off, Sr. And so the Exodus plays a big part in this. Section 103, been doing these videos all these years. Redemption of Zion must needs come by power, because you've polluted Utah. Verse 14. Therefore, in verse 16, I will raise up. Oh, there's the signal for the Jewish Christ, Messiah ben David, which you saw Messiah ben Joseph use that term also. Unto my people, Mormons shall have a Mormon among them, born and raised in the covenant, a man who shall lead the Mormons like as Moses, Messiah ben David, Emmanuel, he who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday. Remember the visionary accounts of Joseph Smith? Who appears to him in the first vision? Because it ain't Jesus. He's abominable. Who put Jesus in the name of Joseph's church? Willard Richards. And who was it that appeared to Joseph in the second vision, talking about him? Using Deuteronomy, the law of the Jews, which Joseph Smith refers here. Raise up. Man like Moses. And so Mormons are the ones who are going to be held in bondage to the great and abominable church. They believe in Jesus. They aren't looking for Emmanuel, he who is from the crossroads. And so, I remember after doing that video, because the wife was getting stressed, she didn't want to walk to Zion. We still believed it was Missouri at the time, because I hadn't found the Joseph Smith papers yet from 19 July 1840. Looks like this is going to be put up tomorrow. And so thus I did that video that is still my #1 video, because the church made sure to have YouTube shut me down. And I was really hoping that my conference video that was on this would be boosted to be comparable with the first video, but such is not the case. And came to find out that it's in southern Illinois, where X marks the spot. But I lost the wife because she wanted the specific date of the Exodus. And so that one was a little trickier. Joseph Smith Sr. was being sneaky. He used the Book of Mormon, because he's the author of the 116 pages rewritten, by the way. In case you've not been following me all these years. Sidney Rigdon's the major author of the Book of Mormon. And so when you see that Lehi left Jerusalem 600 years before the coming of the Christ, he's not talking about literal history of Christianity. And so I had found out that 600 years from 597 BCE, which was when the first year of Zedekiah was, is 4 CE. So I pulled out my Urim and Thummim and went looking, plus or minus 10 years, and found something on 4 CE, April 8th, over Russia. It was an annular eclipse. A sign. But it's a sign of the death, not the birth. And so, yeah, but I had figured out 600 years is 8 April 4 CE. And then found out, 8 April 2024 CE. The last day of the latter days. 2020 years to the day. Exodus 20:20. So what's involved with the exodus of Moses? Because he's the man like Moses, which means Moses is a prophecy and revelation of signs in the heavens, things on the earth. 2020. Did 2020 happen? Did it? Sure did. Did all the videos. The church was passed. So Moses has his first vision, goes to let my Mormons go, sues Pharaoh's court, petitioning the government for redress of grievances. Sure enough, I sued the church in the federal court this time, hoping that I wouldn't get locked up again. Suing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In case you didn't know, most of our names have baby name meanings, unless your parents just made something up as phonetically appealing. And Nelson's baby name meaning for Russell Marion is Mars. And Mars is the husband of Venus, and the symbol of Venus is the inverted pentagram. So the church, as the bride, is the symbol of Lucifer. Thus Mars is Lucifer, the head of the Church of Jesus Christ of Christianity of Latter-day Saints. The great and abominable church. The head of the church, Lucifer. Amazing. How did Joseph Smith Sr. know to put in what is not in the biblical Hebrew text? Only in the Latin Vulgate did it come from, that the King James Version took it from. So yes, I sued. And when I submitted the carved-in stone evidence to the court, which they received on that Monday, we would find out 2 weeks later that after Holland had finished his interview with the rabbi in Israel that morning, he was then notified by counsel of my latest filing, and he immediately had a heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. But yeah, that wasn't all that happened, was it? An authority. The prophets only have titles. They deny the power. So Pharaoh was unable to match the power. Only had the title. I've been demonstrating all this video. We're now at 1 hour and 9 minutes. I have the gifts. I got them. Whether you accept it or not, I got them. Nelson doesn't. They deny the power. They deny the gifts. They keep the titles and claim you must obey them. But that's all they got. There's nothing to fear from them. I got the gifts, if you hadn't been paying attention. And so then you got the 3 days of darkness. That's the solar eclipses. That's the time, the day and the hour. That's the revelation. And then there's other stuff, stars falling from heaven. And there's a famine that is involving a drought. That blew my mind. I wasn't expecting to be able to do that. But I did the videos saying, hey, those of you who are listening, if something happens, I recommend we meet at the turnoff at the Green River exit, at the I-70 and the other roads that tie into it. And from there, we'll then take the 70 east. Nobody believed. Nobody listened. Nonetheless, Fox 13 News Utah would go on to report that the Green River had dried up so that we could pass through on dry ground to head to Zion. And anybody know Metallica? Got a really cool song with music videos with the Ten Commandments and Exodus, Gods and Kings. Creeping Death for Passover. The news was all over that when Passover was going on. They were talking to rabbis and go, yeah, the Exodus story is helping us to prepare for what we're experiencing right now, that year, in 2020. We would go on to find out in that conference that Nelson had contacted China in January and knew of the seriousness of it and kept it a secret. But we got a temple out of it. Yeah, we had just found out from the whistleblower in December of 2019 that the church is not just a fraud, that's why they're criminals, financial criminals. So yeah, all the pieces of the puzzle were fitting together for me. And I was telling you all about them. And nobody believed. And people died because they didn't smear the lamb's blood on their doorposts. And so yeah, they failed. They were planning to use that to destroy America, that election in 2020. Purposely to rile up MAGA for Trump not winning so that they would cause January 6th. They were supposed to destroy the government. The various Republicans in the various states were not supposed to be integritous, have integrity. They were supposed to betray America and side with them to overthrow the government, to decertify the election. But people held to their integrity. And were chased out of their jobs so that this year they would not fail. So yeah, it was supposed to happen then. I was supposed to put my foot on the Mount Olympus that year. What are the wounds in my hands and my feet? It would be 2022 when that would happen then, because they failed in 2020. And because of that failure, I then learned about this and got the death threat, which caused me to put my foot on the mountain and have the wounds in my hands and my feet. I am not going to get to this. do stuff with that. And so here we are, as the other second day and the final day of darkness occurred. The last year of the latter days occurred on 8 April. That's the last year of the Jewish calendar, last day of the year of the Jewish calendar. Thus, Nisan began on the 9th. No Jesus. Not of the Christians, Mormons, or Islamists. They too believe in Jesus. They're Christian too. Allah is Trinity. It's in the singular. It comes from El, the Canaanite deity. It's in Arabic. But it's translated into English as we, in the plural. Exactly like Constantine. Only one God. But they are three in one. But it's not substance. It's not real. A musion. Constantine made up the word. So, yeah. We're waiting for the fall of the great and abominable church. And it's unclear as to whether or not America is going to be saved. We know the whole world will be at war, and we got to get to Zion because that'll be the only place of peace, safety, and refuge. Because it ain't here in Utah. Dear God. The news was saying more people died this morning, overnight. Salt Lake City, even. And so, that's right. The fall of the great and abominable church, as Pharaoh, his dynasty fell. His son died of creeping death. And we are not a theocracy. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is just a religion. We know from the threats and the changes in the actions that are being taken, America will fall, so the government will fall this election. They're setting it all up for it. That's why Trump is not getting sued until this year, but everything's getting postponed, and the Supreme Court allows him to run. But the Constitution is destroyed, and so now it's just a matter of destroying the federal government, so that the individual states will be all segregated. And the segregated MAGA states are already telling us they're going to have Trump as their Confederate president, their Jefferson Davis. They will not accept Biden as the winner. And so if Biden loses, yeah, we're all doomed, because Trump will take over the White House again. All the court cases will be dismissed. He will then have a bloodbath of revenge on everyone and have mass executions. And destroy Congress, have no need for the Supreme Court. He's now king. He'll then save the Jews. And America will be purged of everybody but white males and their rape victims. But the church, however, that's a little trickier. There we go. Hope I can remember to get all these pictures in. And so, yeah, there'll be pictures at the beginning, and then once the pictures are done, the majority of the people will leave. They don't want to hear me. You know, screw what Joseph Smith said in verse 40 of the second vision. eat, drink, and get married, for tomorrow we all die. And so in this process of learning about the sun shall be darkened, moon turn to blood, stars fall from heaven, and associated with prophets of the church, because Monson, when he died, right after Revelation 12, that was verse 4. I forgot to mention that. Put it out of order. I want my audio of you going. Because 1, 2, and 5 is just the first one. 23rd September 2017. Verse 3 is another sign in the heavens. And there appeared another sign in the heavens. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. That's serpents. Ophiuchus is in the middle of it. And thus, verse 5, God is Saturn, the throne is Ophiuchus. Serpens has the corona borealis on its heads. Stars that form the head. Ta-da! 7 stars on his head, as his head, and the 10 horns of the corona borealis, the crown. And then 7 stars, or 7 stars, crowns on the head is the 10 horns is the tail, sorry. 7 crowns is the corona borealis. The 10 horns are 5 additional celestial bodies joining with the 5 stars for the tail portion. And so that's the 17th of December, 2017. The 5th dark day of Hanukkah. And you'd have to know your Jewish holy day, but that's Hanukkah, 2017. The 5th dark day. Sure enough. New moon. And so, in verse 4, and his tail, dragon's tail, drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven. And this is where Mormons believe that the premortal council in heaven had to do with 3 parts. One were those who believed in Jesus' plan of Father's happiness. And then there were the fence sitters that the missionaries told James he was. And then those who were following Lucifer. Lucifer was cast to the earth. And so Mormons don't see this as a sign in the heavens, even though John is making it very clear these are signs in the heavens. Which means they have a day and an hour. And sure enough, Draco, the dragon, at the tail, every single first week of January, has the 3rd largest meteor showers of the year. And at 10:01 p.m. that night on the 2nd of January, somebody went bye-bye. Monson. There's the Egyptian. Isis flees into the wilderness with her pregnant child, with the pregnancy, child she's pregnant. And so, yeah, it's going back and forth in time here. But those first 3 signs in heaven, they're in order. 2nd of January 2018 for verse 4. And so the Joseph Smith translation combines 3 and 4 together, even though they are separate signs with separate dates. Okay? And so learning that yeah, there's something going on with solar or lunar eclipses, because Monson, yeah, he had a big one. It was massive. And it ties into Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. And so I decided, let's check on all of the presidents of this church, see what's going on here. And so Joseph Smith Jr., the founder of the church, died 27th of June, 1844, and there was indeed a solar eclipse on the 16th of June, 1844. It was a partial. And there was a lunar eclipse on the 31st of May, 1844. Total lunar eclipse. And so, since Joseph Smith was assassinated, this is not from God. The enemy did this to Joseph. And so, knowing my scriptures as I do, the law of the Jews in chapter 19 for false accusers, it now kicks in. And so it's very fascinating that Wilford Woodruff's official declaration number 1, verse 11, no authority, remember? Titles, denying the power of prophecy, visions, and revelations and translations. We will never lead you astray. God will remove us if we lead you astray. So what happened to Joseph is now the punishment for the ones who had him murdered. Mormons love to spread the lies about the mysterious things that happened to those who murdered Joseph. No, none of that happened. It was all made up by Mormons. They got away with it. They were acquitted. And so no, but Brigham Young tell Monson, nope, they didn't get away with it, because using the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, God then used that to signal to Mormons that this church is not true, that they are the great abominable church, holding Mormons in bondage, needing to be rescued by the man like Moses in the latter days, he who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday. Emmanuel, Amen, of the Egyptians. So Brigham Young, 29th of August, 1877 was when he died, and he had 2 solar eclipses, and a total solar eclipse on the 23rd of August, 1877. And then John Taylor, then Wilford Woodruff, then Lorenzo Snow, then Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. He died from creeping death. And Heber J. Grant, George Albert Smith, David O. McKay. I'm seeing a pattern here. Joseph Fielding Smith Jr. See, David O. McKay, the solar eclipse was the star heralding the birth of he who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday. He's an actual human, remember? Learning of the Jews. Section 103, verse 16. He's going to be a Mormon. There was signs in the heavens heralding his birth, and the sign of the solar eclipse with the death of the president of the church, David O. McKay. Here he comes, Mormons. He's here. He is born. Unto Mormons this day is born he who is the Messiah of Mormons, the Christ of Mormons. Just botched up Luke. Need to watch Peanuts again. It's Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. Can't remember the name of the... Oh my God! And so, yeah, you have Joseph Fielding Smith Jr. and Harold B. Lee, Spencer W. Kimball, Ezra Taft Benson, who was 9 years. Hunter was 9 months. I picked up on that. Pregnancy. And then Gordon B. Hinckley. And then Thomas S. Monson. His birthday was a solar eclipse. Oh, I forgot Hales. Crap, I put him out of order. It's all ruined. But yeah, his was a super blood blue wolf lunar total solar eclipse moon. It was massive. It was a big thing in astronomy on the 31st of January 2018. And so Nelson is left. That's it. I'll get to Hales. Hold on. Because I made pictures for him and everything, and I skipped it. So we just had the lunar eclipse and a Jewish holy day. Purim. Lots. The book of Esther. The enemy is creating a weapon to murder the Jews. Esther saves the Jews by reporting it to the king, saying, I'm a Jew, I'm going to die, I'm your wife, save us. And so the weapon to be used to murder the Jews became the weapon that murdered the enemy. The fall of the great and abominable church. Boom, 25th of March, 2024. Penumbral eclipse. I never knew that was coming. It surprised me. I thought there wasn't going to be any lunar eclipses, and then they announced the penumbral, and I'm going, oh, what the hell? Right here with the last day of the latter days, and the sign of the solar eclipse? Oh my hell. You guys are messing with me because you don't know the field. So yeah, the last day of the latter days is a solar eclipse. And so think in the terms of the Jews. This was the last day of the latter days. It's Revelation 19. Remember Monson's? Revelation. Now we have Revelation again. Another passage in Revelation. We have Jewish holy days attached to this. And so we're waiting. It's expected. This isn't me. This is the pattern. And I thought maybe before the end of the latter days. Nope, came and went. Trial of Faith understood that the time frame puts it to around the 8th of May. I hope it doesn't go that long, because nothing happened to the church on 8 April. I'm losing people's interest. They think that I'm a fallen prophet. And so they go back to the one with titles. It's not my fault. But wait, starting Monday, which this will be put up tomorrow, and so tomorrow, Monday evening at 6 p.m. starts Passover. And I've already been setting you up for it. This is it. They failed in 2020 when the actual Exodus Passover occurred. And so they've already told us the government's going down. And since this is the great and abominable church, it's prophesied to fall. And the only way it can fall is if we have a massive loss of prophets. Section 107 tells us that there has to be a majority to form a quorum to conduct business. And so, if all write together so that there's no time to call a replacement, we lose 9. Ooh, the Hebrew number for salvation. Shua, with the T at the beginning. If we lose 9 prophets, the church falls. The prophets cannot conduct business. They just live out their lives until they die. The ones who would lead the church would default to the presidency and the general 70. That's as far as their keys and power go. But I'm sure there'll be people who will lie to you and try to claim authority they don't have to keep the church going and keep all the temples opened. And, oh, we have authority. We have the titles. We found a secret document by Russell Marion Nelson to me of the 70, presidency of the 70, that we are supposed to lead the church now. And so yeah, pay attention to Passover. Church hates the Jews. They love Islam. They paid the Judas price already. So, we'll see. See, run the test. See if it's fulfilled. So let's get to hails before I forget. So October 1st, 2017, we already had the first day of darkness. We had the 23rd of September 2017 with the coming of the Mormon Christ to warn Mormons to get out of the great and abominable church, who would go on to sue the great and abominable church to let my Mormons go. And he's telling Mormons about the signs in the heavens. He's prophesying of the scriptures. He's telling you of his visions for his authority, demonstrating he has the gifts, not the titles. He's accomplished of being a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator, having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and the learning of the Egyptians in the language of the Egyptians. Visionary language. All Egyptologists missed it. And so, Hales was thought I had him with, oh, there it is. Yeah, and so there's that picture, the 21st of August, 23rd September. And so, yes, he too died with signs in the heavens. 1st of October, their wedding anniversary. which at that time it was already heading down the drain. She ended up missing the solar eclipse. My July video, it was too much for her to handle and she freaked out. And so yes, you see stars falling from the heavens with his death day. And the moon is on the back of the goat beast constellation. And Jupiter, it's been born in Virgo. Mercury is on their shoulders. And trampled under feet is Mars and Venus, the feet of Leo the lion, with stars falling from heavens in several different locations, including Aries. So, alrighty, so that's it. The summation of the latter days, which I'll assemble and do tomorrow, because it's bedtime. And I had done that copy before. Have to do another one. So that's what we're waiting for. We know the government will fall unless we can save it, but nobody cares to save it. Everybody's helping to destroy it. And so as things are plotted, the government is to be destroyed this election. And then the church, it's clear somebody else is in charge of that one. To fit the pattern. Where are you? Because if Passover comes and goes, Child Faith is thinking at the latest May 8th, but I'm already going, it's a failure. Everything else fulfilled and done and established as fact for the history books, as this is an abridgment of it. I have to update my book of signs. Dear God, so much things to do. And if nothing happens, I'm just gonna scream. Seriously. Dear God, I've tried to contact Pehoran to let him know that, and he's helping the Kingmen instead. Dear God. Captain Moroni. So I'm trying to go to the army and let them know, federal agencies, and they're not responding. Nothing's getting done. It's pissing me off. So, yeah, such is the way it is. Alrighty. I think that's it. Did I miss anything else and put it out of order?